There's no darkness in the light. There's no darkness. No way in the light. There's no darkness. Best to live the life you love, the life you live, the life you love. Hey, oh yes.
What's up, everybody? It's Adam. Welcome to the Wayfinder podcast. Got a special treat for you today, kind of an accidental thing. So we launched the Patreon a few weeks ago, and you guys might know that. But we still don't know what we're doing with it. Like, we don't really have any idea what to do with it besides take the generous donations of our loyal audience, which we do welcome and appreciate so much. So, but we don't really know what the fuck we're doing with it. So, we've had this Patreon page, and there's content that you can put up there, and we're still trying to figure that out. So, JC and I recorded this content the other day. We recorded a 35-minute conversation for you guys, and it was like a badass conversation. I'm really, really happy with it, and we talked about a lot of cool stuff, and it was fun. It was entertaining, and we tried to upload it to Patreon, and they won't take it. It's too big. It's like twice the size of what it's allowed to be. So I'm guessing that Patreon caps you off at like 200 megs of audio, which I guess is maybe 15 minutes of audio. So we'll keep that in mind for next time. So maybe we'll shoot some 10-minute videos for Patreon, for the Patreon patrons. So if you guys want to go onto Patreon, we really appreciate it. You can donate money on there, like $1 a month, I think, or $3 a month or something like that, $10 a month, $50 a month, whatever you want to do. Depends on just how rich you are and how much you appreciate what we do and how much you want to see us do more. I'll leave that further explanation of that to later. But so anyway, just to let you guys know, you're getting the 35-minute conversation that we recorded for Patreon, and this intro that you're getting now has been recorded after the fact. So you're going to get another intro here in just a second, very briefly, where we explain what the Patreon's about. And I just wanted to let you guys know that that's what happened with that. So that's it. And we're going to go back and do more of these Patreon videos and our audios for you guys. And we'll make sure that those actually fit in the allotted data frame and all that kind of stuff. So this is actually a really, really cool conversation. I think you guys will enjoy it. We talk about J.R.R. Tolkien and his connection to the Mayan calendar and his stories that, as far as I know, no one but me has ever brought that up. And it's almost an exact correlation between Tolkien's 4 ages of Middle-earth and the Mayans' 4 ages of our Earth, which is a really fascinating thing, and I can't believe I've never read that anywhere. We talk about how that ties into H.P. Blavatsky and her secret doctrine. We talk a little bit about ancient civilizations, about cymatics, Antarctica, crystal singing bowls, and sound baths, which are really badass. We do those for people. They're really cool. But all in all, what we're really talking about here is tying in all these sort of, these nerdy obsessions, these research topics and stuff that you might think are just sort of guilty pleasures. I always did my whole life. But actually being able to tie these things into different practical applications in your life to understand the reality and consciousness and the universe, science, metaphysics, spirituality, all that kind of stuff. Like, a lot of this stuff all ties together. Everything's everything. Everything's connected. So it's kind of just a short, fun talk on all that stuff, which is really just to introduce the new content stream. Excuse me, the new content stream that we have coming out on the podcast. I know it's been a couple of months since we've had a podcast come out. We've been really trying to work on the next evolution of the platform. We're always doing that. I think that this time we've really come a lot closer to what we want to do and giving you guys a great variety of content. We're looking at not just doing interview podcasts, but doing a lot more of these free format podcasts like what you're going to get today, these conversations between JC and myself here in the studio in Texas. And then also these interviews that we're going to be doing where we go out and meet people in the field, which is actually something that the Patreon's going to support too, because we've been funding this out of our own pocket so far. All the equipment, all the gear, the studio, this beautiful studio we have here that we built for the podcast, all this stuff has been funded out of our pocket, and so anything you can do to help support is always awesome. But we'll be doing that kind of stuff. We'll be doing information videos on ancient civilizations, spirituality, meditation, all that stuff. So that's kind of what we're getting into in this conversation, but it's there's a lot of cool information in here too. It's not just telling you what we're about to do. It's actually a lot of cool information too. And it's a great conversation. It's fun. Hope you guys enjoy it. And there's going to be a lot more of this stuff to come. So thanks for tuning in. We'll check you soon. Love you guys. Peace. Welcome to the Wayfinder podcast.
Hello, hello, hello.
This is Adam and JC saying hi to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Now, this is going to be a special, it's going to be audio only today.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a special deal because we're doing this for all of the wonderful people on Patreon.
Thank you so much.
Yep. And we are, JC's taking a swig of some water and I'm eating some oatmeal here. But,
ASMR.
yeah, ASMR. Let me rub some oatmeal on the microphone real quick. So this is for the Patreon people. We really appreciate anyone who's donating on Patreon. It's a super cool way of doing things. We've had sponsors reach out to us and want to do like paid advertising and stuff. We really don't want to support any products that we're not like really specifically passionate about.
Yeah.
And so if we could do the Patreon model, that'd be pretty cool. But we really want to know what you guys want out of the Patreon model.
It's been tough egg to crack. You know?
Yeah, just figuring out what people want out of that. You know, it's like obviously we appreciate tremendously those of you who want to give of yourselves and your wallets to support the podcast. You know, and just so you guys know too, you know, and I think most of you guys understand this. We're traveling, we're going out and we're doing podcasts with people. And you know, we flew halfway across the country to go see Robert Grant. We went out to Connecticut to go meet with Paul Isaac and Will Evans, and you know, we're trying to go. We're doing all this on our own dime.
Yep,
we're funding this out of our own pocket, so we don't make money on this podcast. This is the investment phase, the building phase, where we're developing this platform and trying to make it awesome for you guys. I think we're doing that, but any bit that you can help is gonna go a long way. Especially if we can do it, you know, if everybody just gives a little bit, we can turn out some great content for you guys. And JC and I have been really buckling down on all the different types of content that we can deliver. You know, when we first started this, one of the big things that people were really into is the ancient civilizations category, that department, that genre of content. And obviously that's something that really drives me a lot. Part of the Wayfinder podcast, the Wayfinder concept is not just helping each individual person find their way, but helping humanity find its way. And it's easiest to find your way forward if you know where you came from. And so we're going to be doing a lot more of that type of stuff, talking about Atlantis and ancient Egypt and the physical and metaphysical, the historical, the spiritual, all of the mythological, and all of the different components that go into ancient civilizations and the origins of humanity. I think that stuff's really important because I think that we are a species with amnesia, as Graham Hancock so eloquently says, and I think that we're also a species with divine origins. I think that we come from a place of divinity, and I think the more that we understand our history, the more that we can help ourselves return back to those divine origins and rediscover a lot of the gifts and a lot of the potential that humans have hidden inside of them. So we're going to be getting back into that type of content too. On the that'll probably be on the YouTube channel. I guess we'll be doing videos on the YouTube channel.
I'm fascinated by it all because 3 years ago I didn't know nearly anything on the subject. You know, you introduced me to it, so I was learning for the first time a lot of this stuff. You know, so it's always fascinating when we get into that because I get to sit here and kind of. I'm part of the conversation, but I'm also like the listener. I'm fascinated and enthralled, and then doing research on a subject before we make a podcast. You know, it's just education on any of these subjects. It's amazing how it bleeds out into other parts of your life. But yeah,
it does. There's some oatmeal for you guys. Have you had any of this oatmeal?
No, I don't. Not an oatmeal eater.
Not an oatmeal eater?
No, I have a terrible relationship with oatmeal.
How do you have a terrible? Nobody has a terrible relationship with oatmeal.
Well,
it's like
it's one way of putting it. But yeah, me and oatmeal just have we have a past and a history, and so I have a mental.
Did it cheat on you?
Yeah. It was good to me. Believe it or not, it was sweet. I was in the military, so in basic training. they kind of rush you like cattle through a chow hall at 3:45 in the morning, right before you go work out or right after workout, depending on what time of year and the weather. But we'd make a full tray of food, and you sit down and they just start screaming at you, and you realize they're not going to let you eat. Like you don't have any time. And then you go throughout your day and you're starving and you're miserable. So one of my buddies figured out how to cheat the system, and so we started we'd just skip all of the eggs and all the good stuff. I mean, it was a full breakfast, but we would skip all past that. We'd go down to the fruit, and we'd grab like 4 bananas in those little peanut butter cups, like a Smucker's, and we would just 2 fingers scoop all the peanut butter out and shove it in your mouth, and then try to eat a whole banana. And we got really good at it. So we'd get like 2 or 3 bananas down, and then we'd get like 3 or 4 peanut butter cups, and we felt full and satisfied. Well, that defeats the purpose of what they're trying to do, which is break you down mentally and physically in those first few weeks.
Trying to starve you.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're pushing you to a brink to kind of reshape your brain, and it's effective, and they're good at it. So they figured out we were cheating the system. From then on, all we could have was plain oatmeal for breakfast. And
For how long?
8 weeks.
Fuck.
8 weeks.
8 weeks of oatmeal every morning.
Once we got towards the graduation phase, we got to eat, the last couple of weeks. But
wanted to fatten you up before everybody saw you.
yeah, he would always say,
Gaunt, emaciated forms.
horses are strong, and you will be strong. Horses eat oats, and you will eat oats. And it was our chant, our mantra, and he would make sure and you didn't dare touch any other food. And so we just ate bowls of plain oatmeal for weeks and weeks. And I mean, even now, this is delicious banana walnut. Smells wonderful.
Yeah, this is good.
As soon as it hit my lips, the texture, all of that on my palate would just send me back to ugh.
That wouldn't be good for you.
When I say I have a bad relationship,
It makes a lot of sense.
I bring it to the table. Oatmeal didn't do anything to me. It provided everything that
You've
it
got a
needed
bad
to do.
relationship with the U.S. military is
Yeah,
what you've got. And I'm betting that oatmeal ain't the end of it.
No.
Well, I just realized that this stuff has got 280 calories in it. I've been trying to eat a lot better, and I've been doing a pretty good job. But oatmeal has been a big part of that. I quit eating breakfast, and I was looking for something to do after the gym in the morning, and just to get some energy in me and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just for the first time looking at this 280 calories. I think I've eaten like 3 of these today. So fuck.
Yeah, maybe not 3.
Maybe not 3. Yeah. They're so good. They're like addictive. It's like banana walnut, and there's all kinds of other flavors. Yeah. So anybody out there who's trying to like clean up their diet, make sure that you do a better job than me, and like don't just eat a healthier thing. Look at how much of that healthier thing you should be eating.
Yeah. Is it
And
healthy?
Is it healthy? Should I be eating this much, or should I
have you
cut
just
this
been
back?
conditioned to think it's healthy? You know
Dude,
what I mean?
that's a whole other thing too. Yeah, 100%. Well, definitely don't eat 3 oatmeal canisters.
I don't eat breakfast.
Yeah.
And I didn't know until just recently, studying nutrition and diets and stuff, that like it's actually fantastic for you.
Not eating breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's way better.
You eat dinner and then you sleep all night, then you get up and you don't eat till midday. You essentially fasted for 16 to 18 hours.
Something like that.
And
yeah.
it's wonderful for your body. And I've done it forever just because I'm not hungry in the mornings. I'm a smaller guy. And everybody thought that was weird,
Yeah.
But that's just the way I've been. I eat breakfast on Sundays, get up and do the spread. But yeah, I fast, and I didn't even know I was a faster, but I guess I am.
I think it's a huge thing because my whole life, like, breakfast was the biggest meal of the day for me. Like, it was just I needed to have breakfast. That was my meal. If I missed it, I was a dick all day long. I didn't have any energy.
That's part of it too.
What I told myself. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But at some point over the years of my fat adulthood, breakfast became 2 Chick-fil-A breakfast burritos and an OJ and some tater tots and maybe a strawberry milkshake. You know what I mean?
All the good stuff.
Yeah, all the really healthy, nutritious shit, because I read somewhere that you should get good, healthy fats and protein in the morning. So I'm like, fucking 2 chicken breakfast burritos. That's a lot of protein, right? And there's fat in milkshakes, right? This is a good deal. And OJ, that'll wake the brain up first thing in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
2 OJs.
Vitamin C.
Yeah, lots of vitamin C. So I had this just master nutrition plan mapped out, right, for better part of 10 years. The best part was I would like consume all this shit and then go sit at a desk for like 8 hours.
Which is a great way to burn off all of that.
Great way to burn all that shit off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Really using your brain, burning a lot of calories.
Well, when you sit behind a desk, you're burning all of that off so quickly.
Yeah.
Being stoic.
It just falls.
Hunched over.
It just falls right off.
Yeah.
Right along with your motivation in life. So I cut out breakfast this year, going back to like January when I started working out and doing my physical thing. And dude, immediately, like day one, a turnaround in like my energy, and I realized like, holy shit, I've been like bogging my brain down with God knows what all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And then like now, so I'll get up and I'll drink juice. You know my juice, so
Yes.
I'll put stuff in the juicer. I make the juice, and so I'll make a jug, and then every morning I make a jar. I just pour a jar, and then I drink it on the way to the gym. Drop my kids off at school, go to the gym, and dude, I feel light. I feel clear-headed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, got a big jug of water I carry around with me, and the juice and the water in the morning has just been tremendous. And then I eat my first meal at lunch, and I try to eat, a protein and a vegetable or something like that.
As appropriately as possible.
As appropriately as I can, But Sunday, Sunday, I guess, yesterday, got up and made breakfast and, did waffles and stuff with the boys and eggs and bacon. I wasn't worth a fuck all day long,
Oh, that's
man.
why I love to do it on Sundays.
Oh,
it puts you down.
God, I was worthless, man. Like there's some dude that wrote a book called Grain Brain about the effects of like bread on the brain and how we were eating too much grain, whatever.
Absolutely.
And
the wrong kinds.
Yeah, the wrong kinds. And like grains, like bread's my favorite thing, right? I just fucking give me bread and butter.
Absolutely.
Just give me a basket of it at Texas Roadhouse.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, yesterday I had like 3 blueberry waffles and whatever else I had, I don't even know. And I just got glued to my recliner for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Foggy-headed as shit. Like, I don't want to do that.
No.
You know?
If you had a different plan for your day, then that definitely isn't the way to go.
Yeah.
If you're me and you're like, Sunday is, I'm going, I'm not doing anything, I got a few chores around here, but I'm going to relax. Nothing better than a big breakfast.
I think I'm probably there too. The only thing is I get anxiety, and this is something I need to work on, but I got anxiety yesterday because I wasn't being productive.
Oh, yeah.
I was down for the count, and my body and brain weren't synced up, and it was
fascinating how you can put yourself into that state.
100% self-imposed anxiety.
Yeah, what did you have?
What the fuck?
What did you have to do?
Nothing going on
Yeah.
at all, and I just started getting real crabby. I was like trying to book flights and get, travel book because we're going to, Jeff Sullivan, our friend's coming in from Connecticut next month.
Absolutely.
And
looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be fucking awesome. We're going to shoot a podcast for a couple days here at the studio, and then he and I are going out to Optimistic, Brandon Beacham's new project, the night show, the conscious night show they're doing out there in Malibu.
It's just a collection of people that artists and musicians or thinkers. I mean,
yeah. So he's doing it's. I love what he's doing. He's doing a talk show component to it, and then a music component, and then like a visual artist component. So I mean, if you think about, Letterman and Stephen Colbert and those guys, they've got a band that'll come on.
Yeah.
Avett Brothers or whoever come do a show right at the end of their show. But Beacham's doing that same thing. And the show, for all the listeners who don't know, so Brandon Beacham's a host of the Positive Head podcast. And it's a podcast that we've been listening to for a long time. We like Brandon. He's a pretty high vibe dude. He goes a little bit fast for me to keep up sometimes, but he's a good-hearted dude.
Oh yeah.
And he does a lot of cool shit, and very, very energetic, motivated dude. And the podcast he's got is called Positive Head, and they interview all kinds of positive and conscious people. Everybody from Trevor Hall and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and Dorothy Dolores Cannon, those types of people, right? All kinds of conscious people from all over the spectrum: thinkers, musicians, artists, writers, researchers, scientists, everybody in between. And so Brandon's got this new show called Optimistic, like Mystique, like with a Q, I think, at the end, or maybe it's, I don't know, MYSTIC or MYSTIQUE. I mean, who knows, really?
Yeah.
Who's to say? He can spell it however he wants. It's his show.
Yeah.
But he shoots it at this big fucking mansion in Malibu, and it's like a big spaceship-looking mansion, and it's just beautiful. It's called the Mystic Manor, and so you have like the show going on with a live audience in there, and then you have a musical guest, and then you have visual artists. So Jeff Sullivan, the amazing, the legendary visual artist, the painter, he's coming into our studio from Connecticut. And then he and I are going to the Mystic Manor November 9th or 8th, I think, to go be part of that show at the Mystic Manor for Optimistic.
Sounds like a blast.
It's going to be so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Going to hook up with Robert Grant while we're in town.
Absolutely.
Going to go see Robert, see how he's doing. About to being fucking crazy. you know. hanging
What
out.
has he discovered since the last time?
Gravity's not real.
Yeah.
It's going to go over real well. But it's not. Come to find out, gravity's not real. So we started all this, going down this rabbit hole of fucking rambling like I always do, talking about the ancient civilization stuff that we're going to get back to. We're going to get back on the ancient civilizations, back on that content, and a whole lot of other content like what you're hearing right now. That stuff's going to go on Patreon, and we're still going to be doing the podcasts on that'll be available on YouTube and iTunes and SoundCloud and Spotify and Google Play and everything else. So we're just going to be doing different types of stuff. So like information videos, just doing maybe a 10-minute video on the benefits of meditation, something that you can share with your friends and your family, or even that you yourself might learn something in that 10-minute video that you didn't already know about meditation. Or the chakras, right? I think we got a 10-minute chakra video queued up. That's one of the
left brain, right brain. We've got
understanding the left and right brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those associations.
I'm fascinated with the eight consciousnesses.
The 8 layers of consciousness. In the Buddhist philosophy.
I've got some great stuff. Going to dive into Antarctica a little bit.
Oh yeah, dude, we're really excited about the Antarctica episode.
So
all that stuff's going to be available. So make sure that you, whether you like to listen on YouTube or watch on YouTube, the podcasts are almost always they're video and audio. They're available on YouTube. Everywhere else, I think you're going to get probably audio.
Yeah.
I think Patreon might do video, but we're not going to do a lot of video with that. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Well, I don't know. We have no fucking idea what we're doing with Patreon.
No.
We really don't know.
What you guys are going to get cool. What's cool is we get to do this kind of raw, more unfiltered. You get more of us being in. This is how we are.
This is we're just kind of. This is I think people who enjoy the podcast and enjoy the Instagram platform, which is where all this started. Is the Instagram platform, and they're interested in what makes us tick and what brings all these thoughts to the surface. Like what's our train of thought? What do we walk around? What goes on in our heads all day long? And this is going to be a cool place to get it, because I think, just full transparency for all the listeners. I mean, we're not experts at this.
No.
This is a whole new territory for us that over the last couple of years we've been sort of fine-tuning our ability to sit in front of a camera or a microphone or both in front of a person or people or guests or each other, talking to either a live audience or a big, potentially tens of thousands of people that will see it later. This is an art that we are far from masters of at
it's
this
a new
point.
medium for sure.
Fuck, man. So just to be able to have these kinds of like free floating conversations where we have very little topic line or plot line to try to manage.
Yeah.
This is a lot easier platform for us. So I think the people on Patreon that are getting these sort of behind the scenes, uncut, unedited, these sort of shit show podcasts, I think it's going to be fun for everybody.
Well, and you'll hear things that are going to come out of these that you'll see a full-fledged YouTube or podcast on a subject that this is where we
cook
creative
the shit
tank,
up.
This is how we do it.
That's really what this is. This is like this is a think tank.
Yeah.
It's a live think tank.
That's exactly what it is.
Where you guys are going to hear us talk about something and just kind of bullshit for a little bit, and then, JC will bring something up and be like, oh, Antarctica. What happened last week, JC comes in, he's like, hey, here's this Antarctica thing. It looks like a brain. Check this out. And then all of a sudden we were off to the races with this whole, because I've always been obsessed with Antarctica, and JC knows that. So it's like to bring that to me at 9:00 in the morning. It's like, oh shit, we have work to do.
Yeah.
This is really fucking cool. What a cool way to start the day.
That's the fun thing the podcast has provided for me in my personal life is I'm at home enjoying something, whether it be a book, a song, some information that I stumble across through research, or even a movie or something. I'll find something and I immediately feel that spark, and I'm like, oh, if I bring this to Adam with your knowledge, and then we sit down and break this down, it always ends up becoming something really unique and great content. And it's all, at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is provide an entertaining conversation that's thought-provoking. Maybe by the time you get done with this, it leads you down another path that you're now following this line of information, and you're going and studying. And ultimately, everything that we normally talk about on here, pretty much everything we talk about on here, is something that is not only interesting to us, but somehow has weaved its way into other parts of our lives. And,
yeah.
We over this journey of the past few years, I've become apex of what I was as a human being before, as far as, balance in my life and being able to navigate just the world in general. And so, I mean, I love having these conversations and sharing them with people because they're so beneficial to me, and it's good to see. And I love the feedback where you hear that it's doing that for other people, and that's just kind of like that's what it is. For
Yeah,
me.
it's fuel for the
fun.
fire. It's fuel for the fire to hear that stuff because it's like when I first started this, it was really for me. It was all about the nerdy obsession I had with ancient civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
It was Atlantis and ancient Egypt and Samaria and all this stuff, Lemuria, like stuff I've been studying since I was 5 years old. My whole life has been just fascinated, and it's been just ridden with this nerdy obsession with all these ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
And to me, that's all it was. I liked Lord of the Rings. I liked ancient civilizations, but it was pretty much the same thing. It was just another extension of sci-fi fantasy land.
Well, Tolkien's world is so real that it might as well be a place.
The Frodo destroyed the ring in the year 3019 of the Third Age. And then they moved into the Fourth Age of man. The Mayan calendar ended in 3019 of the Third Age, and then moved into the Fourth Age, which was the Fourth Age of man. The Mayan calendar was not translated when Tolkien wrote that book. So Tolkien was actually, I'll say that again, the Mayan calendar has essentially, the way that their calendar system works is we entered this most recent world, they called it the Fourth World, in 3019 of the Third Age. It rolled over into the Fourth World. That's exactly how Tolkien's world worked. 4 ages, and Frodo destroyed the ring at the end of the Third Age, which was in 3019 of the Third Age. Same age as the Mayan calendar, and he wrote that book 30 years before the Mayan calendar was translated. So he obviously had access to whether he just tapped into the Akashic field, and that was the number, and that was the number of ages, and that was but out of all the years he could have picked.
It's pretty close for it to be not something to take a look at.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And, when you read a book by H.P. Blavatsky called The Secret Doctrine, she was this rich Russian oligarch's daughter in the 1850s, and she went all over the world with daddy's money studying with all of the spiritualist people of the mid-19th century during the 1850s. And the story that she came up with about her history of the world reads a whole lot like Tolkien's Silmarillion, different ages, different races, the elves, the this and that, and the hobbits and all that stuff. And now we know that there were hobbits. They found the hobbits in Africa, I think.
That's crazy.
Real life hobbits.
Yeah.
National Geographic shit. So Blavatsky, Tolkien, the Mayans, all that shit's there. But like you were saying, all of this nerdy stuff that may seem totally unrelated to everyday life, there's an interesting thing that happens is that once you start immersing yourself in it, you find these parallels that tie into different parts of your life, how you manage your life, how you manage your spirituality, how you manage your relationships, how you manage your relationship with yourself. And to me, I always go back and say that that's because, human beings are creatures of imitation, and we're always going to do things the way that we've seen them done. And it's very difficult for us to just invent new ways to do things in our life.
Absolutely.
To invent new practices out of nowhere that we've never heard of, right? It's like trying to picture a color you've never seen before. It's tough. But understanding that there may have been, and whether it's fantasy or not, to understand that there may have been cultures in the past that had very highly advanced understandings of physics, of electricity, of magnetism, of spirituality, of science, of extra-dimensional beings, right? They may have been walking down the road side by side with extra-dimensional beings because their scope of consciousness may have been expanded to such a state that they could pick up on vibrations that we just can't.
Yeah.
And we're only seeing a very, very narrow thing. So just allowing your imagination to run is one thing, but then really to look into these different, historical things and see that maybe it's not all just so fantasy or so imaginative. There's a lot of crazy evidence out there to show that these types of things really may have happened.
Oh yeah.
And then to think, man, okay, well maybe if what kind of a person would have lived in that society? What would that person have lived like? They probably would have eaten well. They probably would have lived in harmony with nature. They probably wouldn't have trashed the planet. They probably would have been nice to their neighbor. They probably would have had a positive outlook on themselves, And so to me, it's just that sort of that reflective thing between society and the self.
And I find this really cool thing that happens more and more as I study, grow, and learn in all different areas in esoteric knowledge and in ancient civilizations. Sometimes you are in life at a paradox in your brain, or you have a concept or an idea, or you don't fully understand something, and so you try to make sense of it in a way with the knowledge that you possess, and you make peace with it. That's just my way of thinking about it, right? And then you stumble across something, you go, oh no, this is how they did it at this part of the world 3,000 years ago. This was a common practice, what you're talking about right there. And I love when I stumble across something like that, and I'm like, oh, this isn't just me being weird trying to figure out something that doesn't make sense in my world. This is actually how people operated. It's really cool to find parallels in ancient knowledges that are practical to this day and age for a modern problem that I'm having in my life, for a realization that I'm making about growing as a person, or trying to be a better version of myself and evolve mentally, spiritually, physically. And then you find out like this thing that's foreign and it feels like it's yours and it's in your head is commonplace practice, but that was in India 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we're sitting here in the studio, we don't have the cameras on right now, but what we do have in front of us is this beautiful cymatics plate. And we've been playing with this quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of ancient knowledge that's sort of making a resurgence, and that also, this is, for those of you who don't know, cymatics is the study of waves and waveforms and how they move and how they scale and how they work. And a cymatics plate is basically just
it's a really cool way to see sound.
It's a really cool way to see sound waves. So what you do is you got this sort of black fiberglass plate, and it's very thin. It has a speaker underneath it, and then we sprinkle white sand all over the top of it, and then we play a sound through that speaker, and you can see these beautiful geometric patterns. And so you can look up cymatics, cymatics. You can look that up and see what it is. But cymatics is super cool, and it lets you see the sound. And again, this seems like something that has nothing to do with modern life in the 21st century. Like, what is this?
What does this plate?
What does this plate
have anything to
do with
my
life? How to be a parent? How to be a good person? Whatever. But what this does is this is one dot on the connect the dots map, right? Understanding what Nikola Tesla said. Think of everything in terms of energy and vibration and sound. And one of the things that these cymatics plates do for me, in the way helping me to view reality in a different way, is that when you turn on a harmonic frequency, meaning a proper whole note, an A, whatever, 432 hertz, it makes this beautiful visual geometric pattern. And you can see that those sound waves are harmonic, they're beautiful, they sound harmonic, they look harmonic, and they generate a visual harmonic output.
Yeah, it's this beautiful, symmetrical, elaborate shape that goes on with this really crisp sound.
And just like in your life, right, disharmonic energy will create a disharmonic or an ugly output, right? And every thought in our mind carries a certain frequency with it. And then every thought will inspire words that match that frequency. Those words will inspire action. Those actions will inspire a result. And that spiral will continue itself. And so if you really want to make a big impact on your mind, study cymatics, because you can see that sound is everywhere. Everything is made of sound. That's sort of the Walter Russell, Robert Grant way of looking at the universe. Nikola Tesla, Nassim Harriman, is everything is sound. Light is the sound we can't see. Sound is the light we can't hear. But it's all vibration. It's all energy in different states of vibration. And so if you can understand the way that different sounds work and different musical tones, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way up, 12 harmonic scales, I think, something like that, you can see those things. You can see how the sound affects the visual, how what we hear affects what we see. It's all tied together.
Oh, yeah.
And
so everybody knows the study where they played classical music for a plant.
Oh, yeah.
Environment growing, and it grew, and it was crisp and beautiful, and then they played like really angry Norwegian black metal for another one.
Yeah, then you played Trevor Hall, and the plant started tripping balls.
Yeah, plant laid down. Like it came back like, whoa.
It all matters, or speaking to the praying for the glasses of water. that Yamamoto or whatever, that Japanese scientist guy, Dr. Emoto, I think. They would like pray for a glass of water and then freeze it, and then they would like cuss at a glass of water and then freeze it, and then they would do all kinds of different things, and then they would use a microscope to take pictures of the water molecules when they were frozen.
Oh yeah,
they were beautiful and harmonic.
With your tears. They did it with like people crying out of sadness and people crying out of happiness, and then just like irritated, itchy, watery eye.
It's fractal. It's fractal. Like what you see in that one tear of joy, right, is what's going on in every other cell of that person's body.
Yeah, it's just a little bitty snapshot, and this is what you're excreting from that emotion.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
your
yeah.
body's excreting this thing, but it's happening within every cell of your body.
That's
Everything's
it.
communicating with each other.
That's it. And cymatics, I think this is, it's a kind of a new science, I think, as far as I can tell. It's a newer science. But this is a thing that, like the ancient Egyptians, used to use sound healing to heal their sick people. They would literally take a sick person.
Is this the sound bath that you gave me?
Yeah. You came over to the house.
Wild. That was wild.
And it absolutely works. You take these harmonic frequencies, and then you can actually play these harmonic frequencies and get them really resonating for a person, the way that we would do what is it? Is it the MRI, the magnetic resonance imaging?
I believe so.
Where they go whoa, 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 and it like, funny story, our buddy David went into one of those, started tripping balls, like out of just spontaneously. I think he had a couple too many edibles, but just him describing the situation.
He was on a different frequency.
Yeah, just describing being inside of an MRI machine. It made a lot of sense.
Well, at your house, just to set the stage, I go over there, and you've always had different instruments, always playing music and stuff, but you've got, singing bowls, and you've got this really big, beautiful singing bowl, and then you also have acquired a didgeridoo. And so,
as you should,
I'm trying to learn how to play the didgeridoo and make a sound. And when you make a sound, it vibrates all through your body. And we've seen it done live through a microphone at a concert, and you could just feel the whole building felt like it was wobbling and going to fall to the ground. And so all of a sudden,
are cool.
I've got Adam playing a note on a didgeridoo and hitting a giant singing bowl, and your girlfriend Ashley comes in and she's like, I'm in. So she grabs another singing bowl, and I'm just sitting on the foot of the bed with my eyes closed as comfortable as I can, and I'm just hearing and feeling the vibration and the sound, and it's beautiful tones, and all three different, but y'all did it for as long as you could. I mean, it's hard to hold a note on a didgeridoo, and then you got one arm going on the singing bowl, but literally when it stopped and the ringing kind of came to an end, I mean, I felt the physical change in my body. I felt like I had been kind of cleared. It relaxed my body, and at that point I was like, oh shit, because I'd heard about it and seen it. I'd never been in one. You know? And I was like, it is a bath. It's this
totally
weird, cool sensation, and it went in my ears and reflected all the way out of my body. I mean, literally the tension in my back was less. It was a fascinating thing.
It is, man. Just being bathed in harmony, those sound waves just go through every cell of your body, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like you're wearing a lead suit. Sound's going to go right through you. Yeah. It's going to go right through you, and it's just going to vibrate every cell of your body into that harmonic frequency, And that's a cool thing about these sound plates. It's a cool thing about, I used to think that crystal singing bowls and all that stuff, like, it's just a fun little thing to do, Give it to a kid, let your kid kind of make a ring, ring, ring sound or whatever. But again, that's what we're doing on this podcast with this platform, is talking about that kind of stuff, looking at that kind of stuff, playing with cymatics plates and singing bowls and didgeridoos, and talking to people about the science behind why these things are badass, and why a didgeridoo or a crystal singing bowl or a cymatics plate that seem to have nothing to do with modern human life actually could have a lot to do with it. And I think that looking into ancient civilizations is going to give us a lot of those sort of pointers, a lot of those tips to, like, hey, go check into this. Like, what were the ancient Egyptians doing?
They had practical application.
Why were they doing? Why were the Egyptians doing this? Why were the Native Americans chanting this way and drumming this way? And how come people were exploring altered states of consciousness? And so that's what we're going to be doing on the show. And so thank you guys for joining us on this first little foray into Patreon. This is our first thing with you guys. But we're going to do more of this stuff. So we'll make this available for the Patreon fans, and Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Remember to follow on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, all that kind of stuff, and on Instagram.
They're Patreons. They know.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, you guys.
They know.
You guys know.
They're our biggest supporters. We appreciate you.
Yeah, you guys are badass. So anyway, and give us feedback. Let us know what you want. What would you like to see out of this too? Yeah, we want to make sure we make you guys happy. Y'all are really the reason why we do this. So that's pretty much it. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Later.
Be good.